Welcome back to another Montreal Canadiens play-by-play with the hockey coach, Coach Frenchy, directly from the beautiful country of Thailand on amazing, great Monday night, March 31st, 2025, the last day of the March, tomorrow, April already. And when we get April, that smell the playoff in NHL, and that's what's happening with the Montreal Canadiens. They are in the playoff spot right now, and of course, they have 9 remaining games. By the way, it's not play-by-play, but it's more about the AB podcast show tonight. I do too many play-by-play games the last couple of days, so that's the reason I start with the show that way. But welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Of course, the next 90 minutes are all about the Montreal Canadiens. What happened last week, as only weekend, honestly. What happening the upcoming week? Montreal really busy. 4 games from Tuesday to Sunday, and they're traveling a back-to-back game during the next weekend from Montreal to Nashville for Sunday. So look, it's going to be really good week to watching the Montreal Canadiens and of course the Rays in the Eastern Conference and NHL where the Montreal are involved. At the beginning of the season, they talk about a meaningful game for the Montreal Canadiens. They got it, they have it, and now they want to see what will be the outcome and the next 16 days of the season, the Montreal Canadiens, and we'll see if they are in the playoff. Ab show. Without them, it's impossible because they bring so much great contents about the Montreal Canadiens, knowledge about the hockey, everything. And they are back. Honestly, we miss him the last 2 weeks. And then he is back in the house, of course, from Hawkesbury and from Toronto. I'm talking about Marco Drabi and Mr. Inartap are in the house tonight.
Hockey Nation.
Hello, Coach.
Wow, Hockey Nation. It's March. It's the end of March, and we're still not talking about the draft.
That's
not
really
Well,
true.
in some ways we still are, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We're also talking
Yeah.
about a playoff spot, so that's exciting with only 9 games
We're
to
not
go, Marco?
fixated. We're not fixated on the draft is the best way to put it.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a good thing about what's going on with the Montreal Canadiens. So many things to talk about tonight. The show will be really busy with everything happened at Montreal yesterday against the Florida Panthers. They finished the road trip on the great note, and it was not looking that way, honestly, but they found a way to beat the Florida Panthers. We have other news around the NHL. We're going to talk about this. And first of all, we're going to welcome many people in the chat. Don't forget, please, to subscribe, click on the likes. We have PLW is in the house tonight. Well, RJ Calabro, welcome back with all news. Only 4 games in the NHL tonight. Not many involved. The Montreal Canadiens Rays playoff. Honestly, I have 0 team on that. The only thing you can talk is about the pick of the Calgary Flame. Again, the Colorado Avalanche. Now, for 74 game, I said Flame need to win game. Now, for the next 8-9 game, I don't want the Flame win any game anymore. But we'll see how they're going to respond. That there are 2 games in action right now. The Devils late 1-0 against the Minnesota Wild. Luke Hughes scored a goal for the Devils. I think we don't talk a lot about Luke Hughes. He has a really good second half of the season as a defenseman for the Devils. And now the Flyers still winning. Beat the Nashville Predators by score 2-1. Michkov already 2 points in the game. He's now 1 point behind Lane Hutson. What a great race between all of them on this show, on this season for the Calder Trophy. Luciano Graziano is in the house. Billy is in the house. Habitation is in the house. Roy is in the house. And we have also RDP for Newfoundland. RDP, 8 goals.
Quite the
The Washington Capitals for the Buffalo Sabres. He said, look, I did not have no beer after the second period. My fridge was empty after that. This was not happening. So the last time I see that, it was Gilbert Perrault with René Robert and Richard Martin. They scored 8 goals, M. Nartap. The French connection for the Buffalo Sabres. And that's happening. Mr. Casey is in the house. If you don't know Mr. Casey is the biggest fans of who, Mr. Nartap?
Mr. Casey, who?
Here we go. Cole Caulfield.
I don't know.
He loves Cole Caulfield.
Oh, Cole Caulfield.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he loves Cole Caulfield.
Yes.
It's all about Cole Caulfield. It's all about Cole Caulfield. So,
Baby Caulfield.
And he wants
yes,
Trevor Zegras. And he wants Trevor Zegras because he's best friends with Caulfield. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we, it's like Roger Delaney love Nick Suzuki. So we'll see about that. And now RDP said that Sabre have some issues. Yes, scoring goal is not one on one. I think one stat in the NHL. Buffalo is one of the best team at the 5 versus 5 this season.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
really
Yeah.
the specialty
that's pretty
teams.
amazing when you think about that. So we'll see what being. Rob
You're
is in the
saying
house. Thanks for all the likes. I appreciate a lot. And I'm going to give you everything with RG Calabo for what's going on around the league. And of course, the first big news, it's happening approximately 1 hour before the show started. We was not expect that. It was not secret, but I did not hear about anything from the French media, Renaud Lavoie or Luc Gilna or those people, or François Gagnon, Pierre Lebrun, all those people went to the meeting, a general manager meeting last week, and nobody talked about this. But 12 years deal with the Rogers and Canada, $7.7 billion on that deal on the TV. That surprised me a little bit when we talk about the fact, like maybe in the next couple of years, it's going to be on the Amazon or those media. But look like this is a good deal. Nothing about the LDS, TVA, and Amazon. What happening from that? I believe I could be wrong. Marco can add more, but I believe after that he's going to turn around and then to sell those games to the French Canadian. The same thing with Calgary, Vancouver, everything like that. But this, I think, for the salary cap and for the the way the NHL grow, this is a big news, I believe. I never thought they're going to reach that kind of deal at $7.7 million. Blew my mind, to be honest with you. So, Marco, you're the one who will give us a bit more information overall.
yeah, I'm still kind of unfolding everything here, but like it definitely surprised me too as well, right? It definitely looked like it was trending in the way where you're going to have streaming services, whether obviously the big one would be Amazon because of they already have the Monday night kind of programming for the Canadian teams, and that seems it's a pretty big hit, right? Like everybody seems to really enjoy the quality of the show. So it's not to say that they're not going to continue to have a presence, but I wasn't sure they were NHL was going to lock down, but I guess Rogers did have they already have the partnership with them, right? So you have an exclusive. It's kind of like a hockey, like it's kind of like a team and a player, right? Like you have the right to exclusively negotiate with the NHL, and obviously they've been having these conversations. It's a lot of money. It's a lot more than what
A
Rogers paid
lot.
last time, like a lot
Yeah.
more. So it tells you a lot about the value of the content. Like I work in telecommunications for another company. I won't go into it, but I work in telecommunications, and content is king, right? Like content is really important, and obviously Rogers, really kind of marrying themselves to the NHL here. So a little bit surprising because you had some reporting in media that Rogers kind of regretted a little bit their deal. Like they were losing money for the first couple of years, but I think they made some changes to their programming and how they do stuff, and maybe they're seeing something a little bit different in terms of RDS, TVA, and Amazon. What I'm curious about is that, as everybody knows right now, even though Rogers had exclusive rights for what they call national broadcast games, I haven't read yet like what the rules are going to be. Like, is TSN going to maintain its regional broadcasting rights for Montreal, for Toronto,
So
for
the only thing I
Winnipeg? For
can add, Marco, about that is usually they split 22 game between
Yeah.
TVA and LDS example. Now they're going to
Mhm.
they increase that number at 34, but still on negotiation
Yeah,
about that. So the other 34 I'm
yeah,
talking about is the game to go from one station to another
national.
station
Yeah,
about that. So you're a little bit more open up for the other
but
things, and that's
RDS right now, but
amazing.
RDS carries like all the regional because I'm not an
Yes.
expert, right? But there's regional broadcasts and then there's national broadcasts and there's different types,
Mhm.
right? So the big question is, are the regional broadcasts going to stay with TSN? Have they bid yet? I know, like, one thing I can say, guys, I would not be surprised if TVA walks away from. I'm not sure they have Videotron has the money to go in and bid the same amount of money they did last time. If you thought Rogers was losing money, TVA is losing loads and loads of money every year with their hockey coverage. They fired half their broadcast team. They like to be honest. I don't know if you guys agree, but I just don't feel like TVA takes advantage of their coverage that much. Like they have exclusive French Canadian rights, and they don't play that much hockey. Like you if you turn the channel there, like there's fishing shows and all kinds of crap like that. Like just play hockey. Like you own the exclusive rights to the most popular sport in the country that you're in. Play more hockey, have more hockey content. Maybe that's I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I don't know. So we'll see what
But
happens with the
that
French language stuff. But
but that number blows me away when I saw 7.7 billion.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they obviously have done their homework, so they figure it's got to be worth it down the road. But it's great for the sport and growing the sport, and this is what we want with especially with the talk of 32 going to 36 teams eventually. This will be great coverage for sure.
Good point for a couple of people in the chat sharing their point of view about the deal. And I think that's a good thing. PLW sharing also what's going on. So we'll see, honestly, what would be the outcome after the all everything will be negotiation between both. But I think at the end, like PLW said, the customer is the winner of that deal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you don't have to deal, like go to subscribe at that location, that location, that location. Of course, the blackout will exist again, but we'll see at the end what happening. Just another news and two other news in NHL. First of all, guys, we have a couple of entry-level contract. You have many NCAA player get eliminated during the final, the frozen final of the hockey during the week, during the weekend also. So player like Ryan Leonard just get his entry-level contract. We have Oliver Moore and Sam Renzel, Jimmy Snuggerud. This give you the little bit the big name. More will come the next couple of days. Expect we'll see what happening with Jacob Fuller. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But many top prospect draft in the last two seasons in NHL are going to go that direction. I think Gabe Perreault with the New York Rangers. This is just a question of the time. Examples and many
Oh, we
others.
saw
So
it. I think Gabe Perreault that was done just
He
like
did
in the last. Yeah, it
yesterday.
just happened
Yeah.
so
just today. I think Gabe Perreault. Yeah.
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 So it's will be interesting. So for me, when you see Perrault leaving, Leonard leaving, the Boston College is not going to have the same team. I don't see why Fowler would be with the team next year. We're going to talk about him next a little bit later. We're going to give us a bit his option and fun. Finally, we have a couple of news around the injury. Charlie McAvoy is coming back at the right time for the Boston Bruins versus Montreal Canadiens. This is not good news for the Bruins. For the Montreal Canadiens, we have to wait to him. He could get one more week. It'll be fine for me. But he's back skating very well. Regular jersey. He did not play since the Four Nation tournament. Matthew Tkachuk, he decided to skate, Mr. Natal. So he's starting. He'll be ready when the playoffs start. So I don't know what happening there, but that's happening. There's a new way about this. Fair for no fair, it is what it is. They use the rule properly to advantage them if they can, and that's happening for that. And McDavid, possible, maybe until to the end of the season. I don't know if you have any news about those three, about McDavid, Marco, and Artap, but I just read this a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, he's doubtful for this week, but I expect him to be back next week. I think they're in a battle of their own for home ice advantage with LA, so I can't see them unless it's really really serious. I can't see him staying out the entire rest of the 3 weeks before we get to the playoffs.
Would be interesting to see them honestly returning with their team, and it would be a big boost for them, obviously for Boston Bruins. Will be out.
The other one is Landeskog in Colorado. He's now skating around with the team with a no contact or without the no contact jersey. If he comes into the lineup just for his leadership alone, and you play him in a bottom six role, I think it's something that will boost the morale of the team and make him even more dangerous than what they've been showing lately.
No question about that. Like, thing with Landeskog is, he's gotten to this stage before, but it's very similar to the Carey Price situation, right? Where he can make it happen for like a day or two, but it's having that consistent stress on the knee, and the swelling just gets out of control, right? So for him, I think they're going to want to see him practice and put a lot of strain on the knee for like a solid 2 weeks, and then kind of see how it goes. And then, but if I'm an Avalanche fan, I'm not holding my breath, right? Like we've seen this show before, so it would be awesome though. Like if you're an
It's all
Avalanche
a
fan,
bonus.
yeah. Like, but how scary would they be? Like they're already scary enough, but like you add a guy like Landeskog, like you said, even if he's in like a lesser role, like just the boost that would give that team would be crazy. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll see what happening to them for sure. Thanks, RJ, for all the news. Montreal Canadiens prospect Jacob Fuller, Oliver Kapanen, and Demidov. First of all, Jacob Fuller lost again for the second year back to back against the DU. This time it was on the quarterfinal. And now is three options. He could get a contract with the Montreal Canadiens, join the team for the rest of the season. That would burn him a 1 year contract of his 3 years ELC. He could join the Laval Rocket for the rest of the season. He can sign with the Montreal again, but he will not burn his 3 years contract. He will start only on season 25-26. He could also decide to return with the Boston College for the third year in NCAA. And after, I would like to hear from you. What do you think about what it will be? What do you expect?
Well, I think if he goes to Laval, I mean that's a good option for him right now. The only problem is if you put it all together, I suspect at some point, maybe even Dobesh might be in that category. They might send him down because they still have, I believe, two more moves that they can make, right? In terms of
I think
Now, I
players
they've
have a
that
only
they can come
conversation
up
with
and
Marco
down.
D'Amigo, but he didn't reply
Yeah,
to me. He said three to me, but I think it was wrong because I think Owen
I
Beck
think it's
was
two.
back and forth after the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think you're
they've used
right.
one.
I think
They have used one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think they only have two left. So, I mean, you might see that, and then you have the big question is, who do they go with in the playoffs, right? Because in their own way, they've all been very solid. I mean, Fowler, he'd
But
be
he
put in a
cannot play in the
situation that he
playoff,
has
right?
to play.
Remember, guys, he cannot play in the playoff.
Right. Yeah, he has to play a minimum of what is it, 2 games, I think, or
No, no, no. He
No, it's
cannot play.
regular
His
season.
contract was after the trade deadline was not protect like Cole Caulfield did it early before that.
Right,
Um,
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
so that's
Thank you.
happening for him. For Fuller. Oliver Kapanen got eliminated today, lost by the score 1-0. It was a great game to watch. I watched the third period. Feel bad for Timra. Funlander is a good team. And now is see the option for Kapanen. Kapanen have a couple of options. First of all, he's already signed. He played 12 games this season, 2 assists. Could join the Montreal Canadiens, or he can go with the Laval Rocket for the rest of the season with the team. We're going to hear that for the next couple of days also. Marco, what do you feel about that? What would be the best option for Kapanen?
yeah. So the only question I have there is because you know how Montreal had to put a list together of players that they remember they did like paper transactions to send players to Laval, right before the Four Nations, right? So I think they sent Beck and Mayu and whoever was up at the time. So I'm not sure if Kapanen also would be eligible to play in the playoffs for Laval because I don't think he was on that list of players that Montreal submitted, but I could be wrong. Like maybe because he's coming from overseas, I don't know. But my guess is that he won't be allowed to play in the Laval playoffs either. But but he would be eligible to play in Montreal because that's what's different from Fowler or Demidov. Like which we know he's not going to come over, but Kapanen they could bring him over. Right? Like he could play in with Montreal because
Yeah.
he was already signed. He's already played games in Montreal this year. So to me, it would make more sense to bring him in to Montreal rather than sending him down to Laval, and then he won't be able to play in the playoffs. So to me, we could use the extra depth. And I know that Montreal hasn't really been carrying a full roster anyway. So if I had to guess, that's if he is going to come over, then that's what would make the most sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's best here in Montreal. He's been in the system already, and he kind of has played with a lot of these players, so he's best suited to come in, even if he's your 13th forward. I mean, he's an excellent option to have.
and good experience for him, right? Just to be around the team
Yeah.
with these games and all that. Like it's just good for him to soak up the atmosphere, similar to when Montreal went to the finals and they had the taxi squad. Like I'm sure
Right.
the guys that were sticking around, even though they didn't play. Like remember Romanoff didn't really play that much, other than in the final. But it was a pretty good experience for him to be around when they were playing important games.
There we go. Great point. Then even Demidov played today. Demidov got his second point of the playoff. I want watching him. He's going to get a pass right there. He has a great position right there. Great pass by Krichuk. And then he's going to fake it to shoot the puck. And then he will decide to return the puck square to the number 81 and score the goal for him. Again, this is what Demidov, really great, smart hockey player, got his second point, first assist in the playoff. The SKA scored a goal, win the game today, 5-3 at home, and now the series is 2-1 for the
2-1.
Dynamo. Unfortunately for Demidov, play only 9 minutes and 46, I believe, or something like that. Now, some of you are going to tell me are not many minutes about him. I understand that. But the way the game was at the beginning of the game, Dimitrov was on the first line with Kuznetsov and I think Antropov. And then after that, he changed the line. He did not change the players. He just moved the first line to the third line. He wanted to play more defensive because they lead by 3-1. Then they got tied the game 3-3, and then a goal for the SKA 4-3 at 6 minutes to go remaining. And then at 3:56, I believe, they got a 5 minute penalty, and they finished the game like that. And he played only 1 minute 51 during his third period. Nothing against Demidov. It's just it's a playoff. I can understand that. He played at some point only at 6 forward for the rest of the 10 minutes of the game. Then he used his PK and an empty net for the make the win for the SK 2-1. Next game is going to be in 2 days. They play every 2 days, so you can follow about the medal. So 1 goal, 1 assist in the beginning of the playoff. I like his game. First player was excellent with Kuznetsov. He had quite a couple of percentages, but unfortunately he got Huttenberg shot his bench. I just want to share with you about Demidov. One thing we did not talk yet, Mr. Nartap and Marco, but we have to talk about the subject because I'm going to talk tonight. Lane Hutson, he is the reason. I want to play the music, the reason, but I decided I don't want to do it. I don't want to get Danny to start to then sing and sing in the chat, so we're not going to do that tonight. But it will be interesting what happened with Lane Hutson. We'll talk about him during the show. What do you feel about Lane Hutson? What he's accomplished so far, and what he would be the next couple of days with 9 games remaining. On that one, 4U is in the house. A2 is in the house. And many of you, thanks so much to subscribe. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes tonight. Like we do at the beginning of the show, we do the recap game. Montreal Canadiens played yesterday and won by the score 4-2. It was a Sunday afternoon game. Great performance, Montreal Canadiens. A little bit make some kind of positivity on the road trip after they lost the first three game on the road. Again, of course, the Flyers was the one who was really hurt. The Montreal Canadiens, they carried out a hurricane Friday night, and the third game was against the Florida Panthers. They won that game, and I want to talk about the recap game. I'm going to give you the highlights of what happened. Then you guys, you can tell me what you see about the game. First of all, the third win of the season, again, the Florida Panthers, they beat them, and I believe they won the last game last season, so they are fourth straight game, again, the winner of the Stanley Cup. Zuski, 3 point, 1 goal, 2 assists, with that total of 3 points. Is right now tied for the most point during one season with 77 points. The next point is going to give him his highest number of point in NHL 1 year. Hutson, 3 assists yesterday. We're going to talk about what all the number about Lane Hutson, a great performance of Hutson. Sakoski, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points for Sakoski. Laney, 1 power play goal. Then we have Cooley and Packer and for the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, Montebo, enough to get a W yesterday. And that'll give you a little bit more. You can talk about some other things, but that would be the little bit the overview of what I see between for the Montreal against the Florida Panthers. Mr. Marco, you want to give us a little bit what you feel about that game for the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, good recap, Coach. Like, very, very tough road trip for Montreal. And you could see, we've seen this familiar pattern before, right? They go on a great run, and then whoops, right before all the Four Nations, then they go 1-7-1, and so you're kind of like wondering, are they going to kind of fall into this tailspin again? And so this is a really important bounce back for them if they really wanted to stay in the race. And you could tell right from the beginning of the game, Coach and Enertop, that the first line was ready to play. Right, like they were way more engaged. They were zipping the puck back and forth a lot more effectively. So you could tell right away that the engagement level was a lot higher. In the first period, so that was important. A good start. Now, one pattern that we see a lot over the last, especially over this road trip is, even in the last game, they scored the first goal, and then within like a minute or 2 minutes, the opponent able to kind of strike back right away. In this case, I think it was Caguier that had the puck jump over his stick behind the net, and unfortunately, he kind of got like mixed up with Dvorak and able to kind of let somebody right in front of the nets tie the game. Right, so when I saw that, I was like, here we go again. Like, it seemed like a very familiar pattern. But then, what the big difference, guys, which I don't see on your board here, Coach. Like, I see that you have Line has the power play goal. It was the power play that was the big difference from the other games, right? Like, their power play
Yeah.
actually came through. So I think, to me, that was the big difference from the other games. Is they, Martin Saint Louis talks all the time about correcting within the game, or like trying to reverse course within the game. So at no time, like, obviously there's times where, especially the Barkov line was dominated down low. But it's Florida and it's Barkov. Like, it's crazy. Like, Barkov, for those of you who didn't watch the TSN broadcast, I think they were showing that Barkov as any active player, has the most active. He has the most points against Montreal than any other player, even more than Austin Matthews. So he just eats up Montreal each time that they play him, right? So other than that line, I think that for the most part they were able to kind of exit their zone a little bit easier this game. So obviously we won't talk too much about Hutson now because we have a segment about that later. Didn't love the Monty goal. From the point again, we're seeing one goal a game right now, which is, he'd kind of gotten away from that. Like, there was a large stretch of time where you weren't seeing that one bad goal per game. So I'd like to see him get that out of his game. But ultimately, guys, really, really important win. They were able to, for the most part, play the right way and preserve this win. So overall, I was happy with it. And now it's time to see if they can kind of carry this momentum into this week.
Good review. Marco, Mr. Nortap.
Yeah, all very valid and good points, Marco. I totally agree with that. I mean, a couple things that I would add to this list as well. I thought that it's quite easy after a 5-game losing streak, and the fact that they did jump ahead twice in the game, and it was answered by Florida within the span of 3 to 4 minutes. It would have been easy to pack it up at the end of a long road trip that had not gone the way they wanted to, but they showed. I think they showed what they're made of, and they bounced back. They played a solid third period. I thought the defensemen really did a good job of simplifying the play and getting rid of the puck out of their own zone. I agree that Monty probably didn't have the best of games, but the team sort of rallied behind him. When you look at the whole picture, though, guys, I would say, to me, one stat that I would add on to there right now, and I think we talked about it once before, Marco, but it's the fact that right now they are 15-6 against Atlantic Division teams, and if they make the playoffs, they can attribute it to that, especially since, if I'm not mistaken, the numbers were probably reversed last year. Do you recall how many they won last year?
I don't recall, but it was way, way negative for sure. Like, it was
Yeah,
single
yeah.
digit
Do you
for
remember,
sure.
Coach? Yeah,
Well,
it was single digit last year. Montreal's record in the Atlantic. I think it was
oh
the
yeah, it
opposite of
was
what it is this
only
year.
5, 14, couple of tie.
Yeah, yeah, and this year they're 15-6 with I think 5 more games, I wanna say, to
Yeah.
go. So if they get in, that's one of the reasons for sure.
Yep.
And I think the importance of having Gooley back into the lineup, you mentioned it there, coach, the impact that he's had. Again, it just stabilizes the defensive pairings and
Mm.
it distributes the ice time. Like I like the fact that Matheson wasn't he finished third in time on ice because he's most effective when he isn't overused in situations that probably shouldn't be on. So the fact that they were there and they were able to distribute the majority with the top four defensemen and the bottom two got their whatever it was around 10 to 12 minutes. So that helped the whole situation out a bit. But you're right. As that first line goes, Montreal goes.
One thing though, before we move off this, guys, like you're talking about the D pairs and everything, right? I wasn't a huge fan of them breaking up Hudson and Struble because why fix
Yeah,
something that's
that's
not
true.
broken? And
Yeah.
I can't say like the two games I saw from Gooley have changed my mind yet. I'm not saying that long term Gooley is not a better fit, with Hudson. Like, well, I think long term we all know hopefully Reinbacher is going to be the long term fit with Hudson, right? So, but for this season, I think in the long run, like let's say Montreal does make the playoffs, maybe in the long run, you have Gooley back up there once he gets his feet,
Yeah.
under him and everything else. I just don't understand the reasoning. Like, somebody was sharing some of the goals for stats when with all the different D pairings that Montreal has used throughout the year. And Hudson and Matheson together, surprisingly, is one of the better ones. And then Gooley and Carrier, Gooley and Carrier was really, really good as well. I know that they were doing. I think, yeah, like when Gooley got hurt, he was playing with Carrier, right? And they were
Yes.
like, yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sold on the existing combinations that they have there. I still feel like right now Struble is just feeling it. Like, don't forget, guys. Like, in my opinion, like the game that they lost in Philadelphia, I think he was probably Montreal's best player. Like he's feeling it right now. Like, yeah. So I'm just a little
Yeah.
surprised still that they did it that way. I'm not mad at. I think we all saw that Jack needed to kind of maybe take a step back. He's being a little bit over aggressive again. So, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll be back. He'll still have an important kind of role in what happens towards the end of the season. You see a lot of people talking about why isn't Savard out of the lineup? There's a reason. Like, first of all, he's a right hand shot. He's indispensable for killing penalties, blocking shots in key moments. So, I think at this stage, like Jack just has to kind of wait his turn a little bit here because I don't see Struble coming out of the lineup. And obviously, Gooley's not going to come out of the lineup. And God forbid, I hope that St. Louis never goes to 11-7 again for the rest of the season because I'm really not a fan of that either.
Well,
Good.
overplaying your top line, especially Suzuki. I mean, we saw the fatigue, right? And coach, that's kind of what I meant the other night when we were talking about it in the chat. It's not it wasn't fatigue on its own that is causing the slump that they were in, but it's the fact that certain players are overtaxed. Like
This
you're bringing
deployment,
on
deployment.
the deployment of those key players. Thank you, Marco. And
Yeah, and
the fact that you're keeping on Suzuki for the full 2 minutes on the power play. It's
I'm fine with
okay
that.
for a couple of games. No, there's nothing wrong. But you do it on a consistent basis over the 6, 7, 8 games. It's going to take a toll on the players.
I don't think. See, the power play doesn't take much of a toll because it's not like you're controlling. Mostly, the penalty killers are the ones that feel a lot of the burn, right? Like when you're killing a penalty. To me, what makes zero sense, guys, they decide to go 11-7 on the second game of a back to back. Like,
Yeah,
so, okay, I
yeah,
get it. If you want to experiment with going 11-7, okay. I'm not a big fan of it, but whatever. You have the opportunity to experiment, try different things. But why would you choose to do that on the second game of a back to back when and there's travel? So why are you deciding to
Well, I
cut
think
back.
Marco, the only answer I have on my head right now, they just gave 12 goals in the last two games, and they want to
Yeah,
make some modification um, for the team.
with
They
the
want to
lead.
put Cooley back in the lineup,
yeah,
for that
yeah.
reason. And
You just scratch that guy.
they don't trust
Scratch him.
Roy right now, and they feel like it's better to play New Hook, Anderson, and Zuski,
And can we?
Caulfield
Okay,
on the four line.
let's talk about that too.
So
Let's talk
here's
about that. Let's talk. Well, let's hold
yeah,
on. We brought up Kawhi here, right? And in the chat, I know it's come up quite a bit. So I can only really think of one blatant mistake that he made. It was that one time where he let his guy in front of the net, and there's no question it directly caused the goal. But otherwise, can you tell me that Wah was hurting Montreal 5-on-5? Like he made one mistake, guys. Like I, if that's true, coach, that they really don't trust putting Wah on the ice.
It's not about trust. I
Personally,
think the work ethic and the combination chemistry is not there. They were looking more to when you have a difficult game like they did on the last couple of games. They try to bring some forechecking. They try to modify a little bit more, and they feel like if you get Pesera or they have a player can continue to create that kind of the play, that is better at Hua. And I think that's the reason behind that. And to let Hua play only 6 7 minutes, it's not good for him at the end. Now I'm not defending Hua. I think overall, I don't think he did mistake. I think for me, it's the will, the motor is not there. Like this is,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
for me,
The
Marco is like
urgency.
this is his last chance. It's not like his last chance, but he should thinking this could be my last chance to play in the NHL. Why not to go through the board and play like
he can't get
show
there,
some
coach.
highlights to show, look,
He can't get
I'm,
there. In order to do that, you have to be fast enough to get to where the play is, and he just doesn't have the skating to do that.
but that's the
Like
reason
he
he get out.
most yeah, most of the time, like when he gets to the boards, he actually wins a decent amount of his puck
It is
battles and his
not.
board battles.
It is also Marco. It's not easy to fall. Like he's not like he's very strong on his lower body.
Yeah,
On his
Like he's not
skates.
fall.
Yeah,
Sakowski fall
no,
more often as Joshua Roy. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the
he's pretty
chemistry is
solid.
not there between them. I'm not defending Roy about this, but I want to bring you one question for both of you because Marco talked about the seven defensemen. Then yesterday, Albert out and they match up the defensemen like they did. We're looking for a right defenseman for, we talk about this all season. We talk about the development of Rebecca and Mayu. Montreal Canadiens have really good left defensemen. I'm talking about Cooley and Hudson and Madison, Jekai Strobel, and maybe Engstrom, and I think that's good. But do you feel, and the people in the chat, it would be an advantage for the Montreal Canadiens to bring Hudson on the right side for all the way, like in the future, at play at the left side? I feel for me he is better on the right side at the left side. And that will give them exactly the first pairing defenseman they have, Kenan Coley and Lane Hudson at long term. I think for me it's great to see that. But I will for the what they have right now, I don't think they were looking for a right defenseman. And they have a lot of good defensemen, left defensemen, and NHL draft is coming. Now I just talked this through my head, but because Marco talked about defensemen, so how you feel about that? Do you think it's a good move to let him on the right defenseman, or it'd be better for him to play on the left defenseman? And now you have to split the time with Kenan Coley on the second pairing, or vice versa, or Hudson on the second pairing, Coley on the first pairing. So I just
Well,
put this
yeah,
right
like
there.
well,
well,
no, it's interesting, but like ultimately, we don't have to. Like they're already doing that. Like he's been playing on the right for what, like 30 games at least, right? So he's already doing it, and that's I think something that a lot of people don't talk about. I think it's an underreported thing that he's doing everything. And I know we're going to talk about Hutson in the next segment, right? But everything he's doing on the right side right now. So that being said, so could he do it? Could he be effective on the right side? Probably, because he plays all over the ice, right? Like he's not like a very linear standard player. So, you could play him on the wing. You go like it doesn't really matter where you play him, and he's just gonna go where he needs to and battle for the puck. But I think even though he can do it, I still think he would be even more effective on the left. So it does give them their like what it does, coach, is if you were to say like, okay, their level of need, if was somewhat equal before, like they need a second line center and they need a right-handed defenseman, and it's like almost equal the need. To me, having Hutson play on the right side, it just diminishes the need, and just now they can focus on getting the second line center. If they can get, they can be a little bit more patient with Mayu and with Reinbacher, knowing that he can play on the right, and that leaves you your full attention on going out to acquire the second line center.
The only thing I
Yeah,
would
and you
say
don't
to
have.
Marco, and before and after you can after that, I would say to Marco, when you play right on the left, you have a better way to distribute the
Yeah,
puck,
yeah.
right?
For me, it's
Because
just the puck retrievals. It's the
yeah,
puck retrievals that makes me nervous because he's a smaller guy, right? So, like, I know how clever he is at going under players, and like he avoids contact to kind of like he's super smart, right? So, I'm not saying he can't do it, but to me, it's all about the puck retrievals. That's where it's tricky being on your wrong side, is when you're going back for the puck. You do have to kind of make that extra move. And we know he's not a big guy, right? So it just takes one time for one guy to get him good on the boards, and it just makes me nervous. So I would prefer him to be on his good side just because of that.
and
But he
after you
can
want
do
to add
it.
something,
No, I was going to say, I mean, he's the experiment for him on the right side. It wasn't purposeful. It obviously was under necessity situations, but I mean, he's risen to the occasion. And when I think he's in. You can classify him as being in the elite class, and a defenseman of that nature can do that from both sides. I mean, just the fact that he can set up also players that are right-handed to score a lot easier from the left side than he can on the from the left side makes it that much more intriguing. And you're right, Marco. Like why rush other defensemen? They're developing properly in Laval. This temporarily solves your problem. And really, as Coach mentioned earlier, nobody's really talking about it too much, but that's because he's not making very many mistakes, and he's handling the situation very well, not just from an offensive perspective, but also I think defensively he's been sound as well. Whereas when Gooley was there on the right side, I mean, I think he adapted to it well. I'll give him credit for that, but he's
I
so
don't
much
think
more
so.
effective when he's on the left side.
It's not even close. Like, see, the thing that makes like the like I was saying, it's all about puck retrievals, right? So what the
Yeah,
reason that Hudson is able to do it is because he can pivot like on a dime, right? He's so flexible, he's so shifty, and he can kind of pivot so easily. That's the opposite of Caden Gooley. Like, not to be mean, but Caden Gooley he's clumsy. He's a clumsy guy. He like we saw how he got injured. We saw sometimes like how he falls, like he falls like on an angle, and so he's a bit clumsy. He's not the most agile guy. Like he's an amazing skater and everything else. And he like I like Caden Gooley. I'm not down on Caden Gooley. I'm just saying that for a guy like that, he doesn't have the same dexterity and the same like the
no,
same ability to pivot and to kind of move around like a Hudson does. It's not even the same universe. So a guy
yeah,
like Gooley, there's no question. Like you much prefer him, and like I think his odds of not getting those head injuries by going back for those puck retrievals and things like that would be a lot better for him to stay on the left.
you're absolutely right about that. Both of you, I think right now the best left defenseman, the right defenseman is Lane Hudson overall. I think for me it is. Let's move on for the what we do, the stood out, the obscure, and the at the office. We'll start with in our top on that one. We can pick the same players, honestly. But
sure.
how you feel about the game against the Panthers? And we'll talk about Eneman second line. We'll talk about Jekai Elder Scratch. We'll talk about Leinartson number. And we'll talk about the Montreal Canadiens prospect for the next hour. So don't go nowhere. Don't be be patient a little bit in the chat because we have a lot of subject to talk about this tonight. So it's not a tap. You stood out.
Well, I, I think after that segue, I mean, how can you not go with Hudson? I thought that the 23 plus minutes that he was out there, he's just magnanimous. Like he put up three more assists. It seems like every time he's getting a point, he's setting some kind of record or getting close to breaking another one. If this guy isn't the Calder Trophy winner, in my eyes, as a defenseman to achieve what he's achieving, would be a totally an injustice for me. And no disrespect to Celebrini or Mitchkov, because I think they're excellent players in their own right, but to do this as a defenseman, and defensemen usually take longer to develop than the forwards, to have that much ice time, and produce under those circumstances in a run. And if Montreal, if Caulfield, or sorry, if Hutson drags them into the playoffs here, I mean, I think it should be an open and shut case. So I'll give him the stood out and also the Calder Trophy. Obscure, uh, obscure. I'm going to go with Slavkovsky. It's not really obscure because I thought the entire first line played solidly, as we mentioned earlier. But I thought that he had 2 points, and his second half. That's what makes it obscure for me. Now it's 2 years in a row. I'm waiting for him to have that consistency over 82 games and not just second half of the years. And I think it'll come. It'll come with time for him. But I thought he won a lot of board battles. I thought he was hard on the puck. He made some very good passes. With any kind of luck, he should have had a couple goals. I mean, he had one open net just before. I think it was the Suzuki goal. He should have scored on that, but I'm going to give him the obscure. And to the office, through no fault of his own, because I do sincerely believe he's playing injured, but he's nowhere near as effective as he was in the first half of the year, and that's Joel Armia. He's trying his best out there, and you can applaud that, but the key is, there comes decisions that you need to make. And so having Armia out there for, let's say, working at 50-60% of his normal health, is that a plus or is it a minus for the team? Could they put somebody else in there that at least is a little bit more agile? To me, it looks like it's some kind of maybe shoulder, or
It's his hand.
it's
Remember
his
he
hand.
fell and
Yeah.
he hurt his hand. Like, he hasn't been the same, and he missed that game. He hasn't been the same since.
Yeah, and not only that, like if you look at the last 10 games, probably even more,
Doesn't
I didn't go further than
doesn't shoot.
that. He hasn't had many shots on goal. And
No, he won't shoot.
so yeah, so it's unfortunate. I said again, I'll send him to the office, but through no fault of his own.
Oh my God, McCoy, our Tappy is tough. Here we go.
I'll be quick. I'll be quick with mine, Coach. Like, I think everybody would agree Hutson stood out, so I won't spend a lot of time there. For me, the obscure, I'm going to go with the whipping boy over the last several days, which would be Mike Matheson. I think, again, like, he played a much better game. He had a really rough road trip. So I think overall, like, wasn't perfect, but just a lot more of a solid game. Like Intertap, you mentioned, maybe to do with, I don't know what his final minutes were and if they were a bit lower than the other games, but overall, I just felt that he was a little bit more solid, a lot less risk to his game. So that was really important. I think good for him to get in the right mind space. I know it's been a little bit of a conversation on social media about Mike Matheson and everything over the last couple of days. For me at the office, this might be surprising too. It's not to say that it's not that he's not playing well, but I would bring Josh Anderson into the office, guys, and just tell him to chill a little bit, just a little bit. Like, I don't want him to stop hitting people and everything else, but the extra shots there, like cross checks and stuff like that, and between whistles, penalties are starting to add up a little bit. And I'm not a big fan of that stuff, right? Like, if you want to send a message, I love everything about his season. He's been an absolute warrior. And I understand it's hard to play that, and like, sometimes you might want to have an impact in the game, like you just don't have it in you to kind of hit 4 guys tonight. Just find a different way, Josh. Like, don't feel like you need to still, quote unquote, be physical if you can't hit, and feel like you have to cross check a guy in between the whistles and get a penalty. It's not helping the team. So continue. I don't want to, like, they say about power horse, right? Like, you don't want to rein in a power horse too much, but at the same time, just let's keep the stick down, because it's not really helping intimidate anybody, and it's just going to get us in penalty troubles. So that's what I
So
would call it.
are you saying he's still a Mustang?
He's a power horse for sure. Like, that's, I think, Thomas Tatar's legacy, other than Tata, is definitely the power horse nickname that he gave Anderson for sure.
Yeah.
I like great comment. The chat. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. We'll try to get the 50 again tonight. First of all, great pick, all of you. Nick Zuski for me on the stood out 3 point. That thing go all the way with the captain. The captain show up and the team follow up, and good for him. Yeah, but a couple of many others. He's struggling the first two game on the road again. Kevin up. The score for one does not show Montreal. I think Montreal play a better game in the last 7-8 game again the Canada Hurricane. But yesterday was good.
It's just been
Again,
great.
1 goal, 2 assists for Suzuki, 77 point. Look, good performance for him. On the obscure, I'm surprised everybody. I'll go with Caden Coley. Coley have a good game. He shut down the opponent players again. Played solid on defensive, physical during the game, and he gave that kind of stability on the defenseman pairing for the Montreal Canadiens, and that's the reason for me. A presence of Cooley make a big difference. A little bit like if you remove, example, Caulfield on the top six for injury, the top six will not be the same. We bring back Cooley. You bring a solid defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. So my obscure, you can vote for.
Coach, I think that's an interesting. Can we pause on that one? That's an interesting debate there. So, okay, so are you saying that Montreal losing Caulfield would be as impactful as when they lost Gooley? Because I can tell you, if they lost Caulfield over the last 20 games, well, look how Montreal played when Gooley was gone. It's nice to have him back, but they're doing okay. If they lost Caulfield, though, I'm not
But
sure.
that is the same impact from opinion. You can see for
You know
me.
what?
You can see for
Disagree.
me, Cooley, he bring that team the next level. He bring that team friendly. They play better as a group together. And that's the reason I feel for me. Because at the end of the day, remember, Marco, it's all about the first line. So if the first line
Yeah.
show up, the team win. If they don't show up, that
Yeah,
team
that's
go
what
nowhere.
you're making my point. You're making my point then, Coach. Like, if Cole
Caulfield,
Caulfield,
if he's there, or any top six for Montreal Canadiens, remove other effect New Hook and Hua, example, right?
Yeah.
You lose Sakaski, Lane, or both. I think that would be
Okay.
a big blow. We don't have anybody after that, and we have nobody
Okay, so
can
you
play
agree
top
with
six. The
No
same
doubt.
thing
you
with
agree with me.
Coley.
It would be a bigger impact if Caulfield was out of the lineup versus Gooley. Like, if you had to pick one
Yeah,
player
yeah,
to
I can
lose,
understand it's
out of
bigger
the lineup.
impact, but still, for me, Coley we don't have a goalie. We don't have anybody. We don't have.
Yeah.
Madison is not shut down defenseman. Strobel and Jacky
As
are
a
the
matter of
third
fact,
pairing. It's not the same
as a
thing.
matter of
Again,
fact,
the
Coach,
best player, guys, every time, it's always goalie versus backup, with McDavid, every time that. We don't have those kind of players. For me, he bring a stability on the defensive zone coverage, and he bring a better defenseman. After Lane Hutson, Ken Coley is the best defenseman for Montreal.
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
not saying that
from a shutdown.
Montreal's not better. I'm not saying that Montreal's not better with Gooley in the lineup. I'm just saying that while he wasn't there, they were still pretty okay without him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but we really got exposed. If you recall the St. Louis game, at that time, Matheson and Carrier were the shutdown defensemen, and they
Yeah.
were just pushed around by St. Louis. I think when you have
Yeah.
somebody like Gooley in the lineup, he's probably from a shutdown perspective, he's probably the best guy we
Yeah,
have
he's their best
defensively.
shutdown. Like, I
Yeah,
don't disagree, but, like, I don't think you can use the same, like, again, I can come up with a whole bunch of games where Montreal played really well against, like Florida and Vega or whatever, like whichever teams that they beat on their good run when Gooley wasn't there either, right? Like, it's just they were playing badly. Like, you can't, like, the last games against St. Louis and against like Philadelphia, they were just playing terribly as a team. You can't just blame the defenseman or the
No,
forwards. It's
no,
like the whole team was playing terribly, right?
no.
So
But
yeah,
you feel his
I know people are
absence
going
for
to
sure.
slam me for thinking that I don't think Gooley is important. I think, like again, I would not disagree with anyone when they say that Gooley is our second best defenseman. But I'm just saying they weren't that bad without him when he was in the lineup.
But
They figured it out.
0-3-2, Marco, in the last 5 games.
Yeah, but look at their record the whole 20 games.
Not the first 20 game, Marco. They play only 13 for 15 game, I believe. Send the
He was gone for
formation.
21 games. No, he was gone for 21 games, Gooley.
No, but yeah,
21
but
games.
before the formation, right? Or he came back for the first game
Yeah.
against Ottawa.
He was gone. So all I know is he missed 21 games, right? And they had some stretches during that time where they were the best team
I think it was
like one of the
Ottawa, the
best teams
first
in the
game
league.
back for the formation. I could be wrong. And I think it was in the corner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
is
No,
that
he
part with it.
They won
no,
that
he got
game. Yeah,
injured. He got injured before the Four Nations, I thought.
or just after, wasn't it?
No, I think it was before.
Mid-February.
I think it was before,
Mid-February, I
guys.
thought.
That's
Yeah.
what helped his recovery is that there was that stretch of games where they weren't playing and he was recovering, right? So it was before
Yeah.
Four Nations.
All right, let's move on. We're going to stir the pot. We just did it. I want to bet more souls, Mr. Nata, for you. So you're going to be ready on that one. Martin, so we take an unpopular decision yesterday. Health scrap for Aber Jekai. All the media talk about this all day long, left and right, and the French station at DTSN. And I try to get everything I can to get there. But how you feel about that, Mr. Marco, for Albert Jacka Health to Scratch and the overview of the big picture about that decision yesterday against the Panthers?
Yeah, I don't watch BPM Sports, but I'm assuming they made a big thing out of this, and it's good radio, I guess. But again, like it's not that I think Jackai's been pretty good. Like overall, he's played his role pretty well. Like he has very much evolved in the sense where he wasn't doing stuff like we saw in the last game he played, where he ran across the ice and got totally out of position to hit a guy when he wasn't getting minutes. Like I think it's human nature, right? Like you're not playing as many minutes for whatever reason. You want to have an impact on the game. It's not a lack of effort. It's not a lack of caring. It's probably that he cares too much and he wants to have an impact on the game. So he starts chasing it, right? So I think we all realize that Jackai is what we want from Jackai is controlled chaos. We want him to like drop the bomb and drop the hatred, drop the ugly when needed, and be that nuclear kind of like deterrent out there on the ice. But he needs to do it in control. And obviously, in that one game, I think it was against Philadelphia, where he went across the ice, turned a 3-on-2 into a 2-on-1 on that play, and cost Montreal a goal. So even without that play, though, guys, with Gooley returning, like, what do you expect Montreal to do? Like, like I said, Struble, the way that he's playing, like, I think anybody that's objective is going to look at how Struble was playing, and you can't take him out of the lineup. Like, I don't care what Jackai, like maybe you can say like if there's a specific game, like let's say you're playing, let's say let's say this game against Florida, right? There was a little bit of chippiness against Florida the last game, and it's going to maybe be physical or whatever, and there's Fortier playing for Columbus or whatever. Then sometimes like you're going to choose to play Jackai because he has a very specific role. But other than that, guys, like how can you take Struble out of the lineup right now? Like he's just playing too effectively right now. So I don't see any other options for Montreal at this point. Is it 20? So Luc is confirming 27 games that Gooley missed. So even more.
But I don't know his rate. I think he talked about the game he missed for his appendicitis.
Yeah.
His first
I think I was pretty sure it was 21 because I remember knowing that number because it is matched his actual number on his jersey, right? So that's why it stuck with me. But anyways, I don't see what choice Martin Saint-Louis had to take Jackai out in that game. Jackai gave him an excuse to take him out. He made that mistake. And you can't take Struble out, and I don't think he likes going 11-7. So for fans that are pissed off, What's your alternative? You're going to take out Struble? Explain to me why you're taking out Struble
I
for
think
Jackai. Give me a
Marco,
good
I will give you the reason behind that. Right, first, Jaka is popular. They want him on the team for whatever it is, but they complain about they should remove Madison or Savard over Jaka.
You can't.
Matheson. Well, yeah, we talked about Savard. Like, okay, like you can make some arguments. Like, if Jackai was right-handed, he probably would never, ever, ever leave the lineup, right? But they need a right-hand shot. Like, I don't think a Jackai or Struble play particularly well on the right. They're really, really not effective on the right. I've seen a lot of people talk about they have some advanced analytics on Gouli and Jackai as a pair, and it's apparently from an analytics perspective, it's apparently very, very good. But my eye test is that anytime I've seen Struble play on the right, anytime I've seen Jackai play on the right, I don't like it. I don't like him on the right at all. So until they come up with a better solution for the right side, I just don't see how you can take Savard out of the lineup with, like I mentioned earlier, everything he does on the penalty kill, the shot blocking. I know it's not elegant. It's kind of like a little ugly to see out there sometimes. He doesn't move around really well, but he's smart. He knows where to be on the ice. He doesn't need to be as fast because he knows exactly where to be. And I still think at this point, if Savard is healthy, then you still play Savard over Jackai, and it's not even a question whether you're not taking Matheson out unless he's injured or something and he's playing like 60%. You're not taking Matheson out for Jackai. I don't see why you do that.
And that
I think overall, when you put this together with the players that are coming up from Laval eventually, I think it's a great problem to have, right? I don't think it's necessarily because of poor play. You know, it. I think you're right, Marco, from the perspective that you can't take out Struble. He's been playing fabulously over the time that he's been there, and he's getting stronger. And it's all about his confidence. He seems to win a lot of the battles. He knows when to get involved in scrums and when to sort of lay off. He's defensively responsible as well, and he makes his presence felt when forwards are trying to either recycle the puck around, cycle the puck around the net, and somebody's coming to receive the puck. But it's unfortunate, you know, because I really don't see. I would classify Jackai as one of the players on Montreal this year that's really shown a lot of improvement.
Yep.
Does he make mistakes? He does. He does. And that's why initially, even though I don't like it, especially for Montreal, because they're most effective when they can roll four lines. But when they went to 11-7, I go, okay, this is not bad, because what it could allow them to do is take somebody like Savard, take somebody like Jackai, and somebody else, and just rotate them. They miss a game each. It's not the end of the world. But when they did that, how did they respond? They gave Jackai 8 minutes on the ice, and it wasn't because he was irresponsible defensively. It's uh, you know I think he's got a defined role on the team, and I think it creates he helps to create a lot of ice for a lot of the players. They definitely play with a little bit more moxie when he's in the lineup than when they're not. Um, it's hard to keep him out of the lineup, but I understand why he did it. It's easier to take him out of the lineup than somebody like Matheson, which
Well, why?
has
But it's
made.
not that it's easier.
Why would
It's not that, but it's not that it's like a political decision he's making. It just like why would you ever do like why would any coach ever remove Jackai or Matheson over Jackai? Like
well in any
how's
of
that
the
help?
defense, if any of the
Yeah,
defense,
any-
right? In this case here, it's easier. Like I said, it's easier to take a. He's no longer a rookie, obviously, but he's only a couple years removed from that. It's easier to take him out of the lineup. He seems to respond well with that. It's not something that he's going to give you headaches over. But the only way you get better is if you play more, right? And you have to learn from your mistakes. And you don't do that from sitting extended periods of time. Now, what I would say is next game against Florida, thanks to what Mr. Mikola did, does he draw back into the lineup? And if so,
Well, that's
who's out?
yeah. Well, that's the thing. If there's one game that that you would want Jack Eye in there for, is that one, right? Because you think the temperature might go up. But again, like, who are you taking out? Like you said, right? Like,
Exactly.
if one of those guys could play on the right side, and I saw somebody said, like, well, do you really need somebody playing on the right side for 10 minutes? The answer is yes. Like, those 10 minutes are absolutely critical, guys. Like, you can't underestimate how much of an impact puck retrievals have in those, especially with the team against Florida, where they're so aggressive in their puck pursuit and their forecheck, that a split second of hesitation, of like being on your wrong side and having to turn around and not knowing exactly what play you're going to make on your right side, it makes a huge difference, right? A huge
Yeah.
difference. And even if it's 10 minutes, it's a huge problem. So I would much rather have 10 minutes of Savard doing the right thing, killing penalties and all that. And again, it's not that I don't like Jack. Like I said, like, I think he has done a great job this year. I still think, I think Coach has mentioned it before, is that you want him to be aggressive and violent, but you want it to do it in the right times, in the controlled
In
way. So it's
controlled
lightning in a
controlled
bottle.
situation.
Controlled
Look,
violence is what we want.
it wouldn't even be an issue. Obviously, the fact that he kills penalties and that he's on the on the right side of the ice. That's why Savard is staying there. Otherwise, the decision would be very simple.
For sure.
Savard is not fast enough anymore. Through no fault of his own. It's just Mother Nature and his age that's causing that. But that's his saving grace: the penalty kill and the fact that he plays on the right. So yeah, there are not many. You know, it's a hard decision to make, but here we are.
If if he was right-handed, he wouldn't come out of
It'd
the
be the
lineup.
other way.
He
Exactly.
wouldn't come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Uh-oh.
it's you have to see the big picture. He's L2 scratch one game. It's not
That's
going
it.
to be L2 scratch for the rest of his career with Montreal Canadiens.
No, of course not.
He made
No.
the biggest mistake a Pee Wee player do all the time. But he did it in the NHL when you are in the race of the playoff right there. And that's the reason he get benched after that, and that's the reason he get sit after that. That's simple.
Yeah.
That's all. All everybody
Yeah.
make mistake, of course. He played only 55 game and 41 game or something like that. One of the game before this season. So he's still a young player. He's still learning on the trenches. Yeah, nothing wrong with Jacka to be healthy scratch about that. He play an average of 10, 12, 13, 14 minutes. Jacka play on his keep this simple. Don't try to do too much. The only reason he tried to get that player was try to hit the guy. You cannot leave the under your side or your defenseman. You cannot. It's a 1-on-1. It's a
Well, he
1-on-1. It's
turned it
like a
3
two
on
plus
2
two
into
is 4, but you said 3. But what the heck you are right now at the college? How you don't know 2 plus 2 is 3, it's not
well,
4.
we were talking about it in our comments, coaches. So you're talking about the play was a 3-on-2, and then he turned it into a 2-on-1 by leaving his lane and going to hit a guy, right? The reason I think for that is it's because he cares too much, right? Like, he wants to make a difference in the game, and when you don't get the opportunity to do it, then you're looking for an opportunity to have an impact on the game. It's similar. Remember, you guys disagreed with me, right? Or some people disagreed with me. Remember that game against Ottawa where something happened and I think he hit, I forget who it was, but he did a late hit and he got lucky. He didn't get called. Like, it was a headshot. It was late and he could have easily had a penalty there. So I understand his
Was it
instinct.
Struble? I think
No,
it was
that was in the
Stu.
preseason. He did that. It was very similar to what he did to Struble in the preseason, but he did it to Ottawa in the first game back after the Four Nations. And he almost, like, he should have been called for a penalty in that game, and for whatever reason they missed it. All I'm saying is that the pattern with Jack Eye is that he wants to do the right thing. He wants to use that controlled aggression, which is, I'm sure, what St. Louis wants him to do. Play simple and use your controlled aggression at periods of time where it makes sense. Pick your spots is an easier way to put it. But with him, sometimes he gets so emotional and he so wants to have an impact on the game because he has his own commercial. The crowd loves him. He like he's human, right? Like of course he wants to have that impact. But you have to be able to resist that temptation and do it at the right time. And it's a very kind of boom boom kind of thing, right? So with more experience, he'll learn when to do it, when not to do it. But like I said, it's like a very powerful weapon that Montreal has. There's not a lot of Arbor Jackeyes in the NHL. There's not a lot of people like that. So they'll just continue working with him. And
They have
we want him
yeah,
we want him to be
they
Mike
have to.
Tyson,
They
but
just can't make it the norm, right? Like
no.
if you got 7 healthy defensemen right now, he can't be the one that sits all the time. It's not fair to his development. And like we said earlier, there's other players that would benefit from sitting down even a game just for rest purposes, and have Jackeye learning as well. So hopefully they get him back in ASAP, because I think, like I said earlier, I think the team plays a lot more confident and a lot bigger when he's in the lineup.
Play him at forward. I've been saying this for 3 years. I would
I thought
love
they
to see him
were.
play.
I saw that
Yeah.
the game before he sat, and I thought they were going to play him as a winger, but turns out they didn't.
It's just daily face off, yeah. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I like, to me, guys, like that's the one thing about having your enforcer as a defenseman. I've never been a big fan of that, because when he gets into a fight,
Yeah.
you're down to 5D men. Like I don't like that. So to me, I just don't understand why they wouldn't at least give it a try. Like, I guess for them it's asset management, right? Because they feel like if they play him at forward, then maybe like if they decide to trade him in the future, that he's more valuable as a defenseman. Like I don't know if that's why they're hesitating to do that. But they have
Yeah,
so
but
many
what if he
left.
can show? What if he can show he can do both, Marco? It increases
I
his
know that's dude.
marketability.
I've been talking about this since, like, I think when I joined you guys on this show. Like, it was one of the first
Yeah, yeah,
hot takes that
yeah.
I
You
had
brought
on
it
this
up
show.
first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Anyways,
Montreal Canadiens are better or not? Mike Minnesota in the lineup or Arbor Jackeye in the lineup? And out that.
Well, I think from a perspective of winning the game, I would say definitely when Matheson's in the lineup.
Montreal
usually
Canadiens,
that's the big difference.
Montreal Canadiens, is it better with David Savard, a right defenseman, or a left defenseman, play with 5 left defensemen and put Arbor Jackeye in the lineup? Marco.
I think you need those right-handed defensemen, because I don't think the left-handed defenseman they have can play on the right side.
My point, nothing against Jackeye. It's just the circumstance of what's happening right now. You are in the race. You try to make the playoff. It's not about development right now. You cannot tell me right now it's about development. It's about try to make the playoff. That'll be huge impact for the development if they are in a playoff. They're going to taste it. They're going to feel what it look like. And then Montreal, guys, is 10 times bigger. 10 times bigger the playoff in Montreal Canadiens. You get all the, and after put all the flag around his car. He make his logo on the door with the Mike Madison picture. Like he become a blue, red, white car in Artap in Toronto. He got stopped by police a couple of times in the last couple of years.
All those
One was in
carjacking,
the playoff.
all those carjackings in Toronto. I don't know if that's a good idea on our tap to do that, but
Yeah, I know. They'll vandalize it here in Toronto.
yeah.
Now, I
No,
ask
but
you this question for the people in the chat. People say, yeah, but why not Mike Madison? So it's the same thing, guys, with Chris Letang or Evan Bouchard with the Edmonton Oilers. Why you don't remove Evan Bouchard? He make not one. I think he's worse on Mike Madison defensively, and he create a lot of turnover. Why they don't remove Evan Bouchard to put Setcher in the lineup? You have to go
Well,
with
gives you offensively.
c'est boiteux un peu ton affaire, là, coach, because with Bouchard, Okay, you could say this about Matheson last year because he had 60 points, right? This year it's a little harder to make that difference because he's not producing as much offensively. We understand why, because like he doesn't have first minute power play minutes, and we totally understand why. But to me, the better argument, it's not like you can't compare him to Letang or to Bouchard because with those guys, you're willing to put up with mistakes because they're giving you so much offensively. With Montreal, really what it comes down to is that he is a minute muncher, right? And we all know that he plays too many minutes, right? But right now, other than Caden Gooley, he's if they play him the right way, like again, like look at the last game, like that was perfect Mike
He
Matheson in that game. Like he moved the
and you know
puck
why,
well,
Marco?
less
You know
minutes. How
why?
many
He
minutes?
was he was
What?
yeah, he was third on the defensive core in terms of time on ice, and it makes a
There you
huge
go.
difference with Matheson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So to me, it's not you don't take Matheson out. Remember, like maybe that should be our Sesame Street word of the day. Intertap is deployment. It's all about deployment.
yeah,
It's about how you use your guys, right? So if Matheson is deployed the right way, if you're playing him just under 20 minutes, 19 minutes, beautiful. That's exactly kind of where he should be,
he
and he'll
should
do
be.
a good
Yeah,
job. Yeah, he'll do a good
yeah.
job.
Here we go. We're
The
going
good
to
news
move
is
on.
this will
After
be
that, New
resolved.
Jersey won 3-2 in the shootout for the New Jersey versus the Wild tonight. And we have about 30 minutes. We're going to talk about the biggest subject of the night about Lane Hutson. Here's the reason NHL Draft 2022, it was a steal or not? Do you feel it was a steal
Oh,
of the NHL Draft 2022? Mr. Nartap, yes or no?
100%, absolutely. Like, I mean, you're talking about it. This guy, like I said earlier, is going to be, if he's not already at that level, an elite defenseman. And I think his defensive um, game will improve even more. I think we've seen a huge improvement from the beginning of the year. Offensively, he seems to get stronger and stronger with every game. Like I said earlier, he's on the verge, I think, of winning the Calder Trophy, and really the sky's the limit. Like when you start talking about, the Quinns, Makars of the league, that he's not there yet, obviously, but I think give him a couple more years and he will definitely be in the same conversation in my eyes.
Good point about that, Mr. Nartap. Of course, Marco, you're going to say also is still on the NHL draft. You can already compare the Cooley, Sakoski, Gauthier, everything.
Second round.
Second round, 62 overall pick.
Well,
It was a
guys,
very
I'm
interesting
looking.
conversation. Can't remember.
I'm looking. I'm looking at the draft right now, guys, and like,
Well,
could you
look at
argue that
Montreal's. Who did they take first round? Two players.
Montreal,
Yeah, that same year they took
like
Slavkovsky
Slavkovsky and Massar? Yeah,
and Massar. Is he better than
yeah,
Massar?
well, yeah,
Absolutely.
like that's. I'm looking at the draft, guys. Like, arguably, it's hard to not make the case that he's at the very least top 5 in the draft.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
are you not
yeah.
taking? Are you not taking him over Yurchek? Are you not taking him over Shane Wright? Are you not taking him over Simon Nemec? Cutter Gauthier, a little bit closer, but if he's not top 5 in a redraft, then he's right there, like 6, 7
Yeah,
at the
he
very
is.
least.
He is what I mean, if it wasn't for his height, I think, and weight, I think he would have definitely been uh in the
Yeah.
top 10 last year or 2 years ago.
Did you
So
did you guys see when
3 years
I
ago.
think it was Frank Saravelli asked Kent Hughes in his interview if they consider taking his brother Cole Hutson in the draft, and I think they had him ranked much, much higher than where he went, similar to with Lane. But it
Call.
was interesting to
Yeah.
hear his answer that we already have so much depth on the left side that it just didn't make sense for them to do that. But you guys agree with that? Like, if they really believe that Cole Hutson is going to be a top pairing defenseman in the NHL, do you disagree with their decision not to take him? Not that they would keep him, but like just from like for if you're picking him in the second round, like just from an asset management perspective, do you disagree? Like,
Yeah, makes
should
sense.
Montreal have
No.
chosen? You don't think they should have went for Cole Hutson in the second round last or the year that they dropped? Yeah, last like this summer
Yeah,
Last
but
after
you
they
season.
cannot
dropped.
have
Yeah.
two. You cannot get two similar players like them.
You're not going to play them, but you move them. You draft him. You're like, okay, this guy's a steal. He's gonna like right now. Cole Hutson is gonna have like he's already having an amazing tournament in the NCAA. You don't, and after what he did in the World Junior, you don't
But
think
yeah,
that you
now
could.
Marco, you get the players. You don't know if it's going to be like this. It would take three,
Yeah.
4 years before you get trade. It's better to use a Michael Edge, and then after that,
Oh, oh yeah, I'm not saying the first round. Montreal could have used one of their second round picks. Didn't they draft like before
They
he got
they
drafted last
had
year?
they had
no, they trade the
two
second
second.
pick for
What's it?
Michael Edge. It was a Colorado pick, and they picked the 26 and the Colorado 57.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
21st. It was 21st. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reason behind that. Anyway, look at look Hudson. Look Lafreniere. Look.
Leffert.
Yep. 5 goals, 54 assists, 59 points. I'm going to give you guys number here. And then I want to hear from you guys what you think. Chelios and the Montreal Canadiens history. 9 goals, 55 assists, 64 points. Marco, do you think it will beat Chelios, the number of assists? I think it's automatically. But do you think he is possible for him to reach 5 points the last 9 games?
I think it's possible for sure. Like, I don't know if he'll get as many goals, but for sure, I think he'll eclipse the 64 points. Like, even if he's a point a game, when was the last time? Like, if you look I think it's since January 1st, he's only behind Cale Makar in terms of points by defenseman, I think. Right. So he's almost
Yeah.
like a point per game player, coach. So I don't see why in 9 games, even if he misses a couple games and isn't a point a game, like I just don't see how he can't unless he gets injured or something bad happens. I think he has a very good shot of tying or eclipsing that record for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Especially since they're in a playoff run. Like he's gonna obviously be the difference in all when all is said and done. And for sure, I think 5 points for him. I mean, he almost had it the last game when you look at it.
You're right
I think
about
on
this.
average we predicted what, like maybe 50 points for Hutson, I think was the
Yeah, it was
consensus.
between 40
Oh.
to 50.
I could tell you, I
Jeez.
have it written down somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll look it up
Wow.
later.
Yeah.
Colorado lead 2-0 against the Flames. About that, and NHL, the most assists by the defenseman is 60. And after, do you think he's going to reach that number?
Yeah, I think he does it tomorrow night, for sure.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
I
night.
don't know about that. Really?
Yeah,
I think so.
59. But now you have 54
Yeah.
assists. He's missing 6, Mr. Arthur.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the points.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Murphy
Yeah,
has 76 points, Marco.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's 76
something like
points.
that, yeah. Somewhere around there. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's got a fair shot at it, right? Especially since we're talking about assists. So to get 6 in the last 9 games is not out of the realm of possibilities, especially since he draws so much time on PP1. I think he'll hit that.
All right. Let's move on. He lead the NHL guys as right now 1 point over. He is a number 4, the most point as a defenseman with Victor Edmond. He is a number 2 with the most assists behind Kel McCarr as a defenseman. And finally is 9. And NHL include the defenseman and the forward with the most assists in NHL before the game tonight. So that's how is impressive Lane Hutson for the Montreal Canadiens. And honestly, Lane Hutson, Mr. Nartap, and Mr. Marco, next contract, $10 million. By the way, before you move on, I want to give you that Hutson record is 14 assists a game and this season. Tyler Murphy and 80 and 81 for the second most season and rookie defenseman. The lead guys is Chris Chelios. I did not know that. Chris Chelios has 16 game or 2 point and multi assists per game is a rookie with the Montreal Canadiens. But the question is $10 million, Marco. How going to reach that number? Yes or no?
I think so, Coach. Like, if he were to, if they want to lock him up long term, I think that's like, if they want to go at like a bridge or whatever, then they might be able to get under that number. But with again, if his agent has half a brain, he would not let his client sign anything under this kind of number if you're going to go long term, because we just know kind of what's going to be happening with the salary cap. Again, people have in their mind that Montreal's not going to go over that internal salary cap, but I just don't think it's going to be possible, guys. Like, for them to honor that moving forward, I just don't think it's going to be possible if they want to re-sign uh, guys like Demidov if he ends up hitting. If Hutson, if they want to keep him long term, I just don't see how you can keep under Suzuki's number. I just don't see it. Just because, like, it's just math, guys. Like, if you're, it's just too much money for him to leave on the table. His agent, and not only that, but the NHLPA probably would be super pissed if players are doing that. It's one thing to take a little bit of a discount, right? But if you're leaving like, like $2 million per year on the table, I just don't see him doing that. So to me, this is very, very in the realm of possibility. But again, for those who are freaking out, you have to, again, we talk about it all the time. It's percentage of cap. If you don't know what that means, Google it. But ultimately, it comes down to the percentage of the salary that they take up on the full salary cap. And even though Suzuki, is going to be making less than him in the future, you have to think about how much was the salary cap when Suzuki signed his contract at the time. I forget what the number is. It was like 18% or whatever of the salary cap. Well, to me, I would say if you bring in Hutson at the same percentage, because guys, we're having the debate here. Who's the real MVP of the Montreal Canadiens this year? Some,
Hutson.
like, maybe okay, 70% of people might think it's one guy, and it's very close, right? But ultimately, he's right there. So if he's as valuable or very close to as valuable as Suzuki, then he should be earning the same percentage of your cap, in my opinion. So to me, there's no question that that's something we should be prepared for. We should be getting mentally prepared for that kind of number, if not
McCarr
more.
is it at 9.5?
Yes, I
I
think
don't.
so.
I think
Yeah.
Dallin lead, right, with 11 million.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
With Dowdy,
yeah.
same part about that. Look, that would be interesting to see that by the number of $10 million. But you're right. I'll be surprised he's going to steal the bank at some point, Mr. Nartap. I just want to give you guys not many players in NHL can do that. Watch Hutson right there. Again, he see the puck, go there, and boom. This is like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What a pass by Lane Hutson, guys, on that one. Let's give us a bit information about Lane Hutson. I have a lot of conversation. We still have a couple of more minutes,
Yeah,
so we can jump in
it's
left and right.
9 million McCarr is making right now.
Mr. Natal, so Marco, he coming with us tonight, so I said maybe I would talk to you a bit and tease him a little bit more in our tap, like I don't like to do that to Marco. But next, third line for together. We have a good chemistry yesterday. Enneman on the second line with Laney and Uhuk. I think you have the physicality, you have the speed, and then finally you have a shooter. I think with the speed of both of them, I think Laney have a little bit more, a bigger motor on his pants, and he a little bit more faster yesterday. But this could be your third line next year. I'm talking not Lenny. But do you feel it would be good to have New Hook and Enneman on the third line for the Montreal Canadiens? Was it a good duo together for the Montreal Canadiens? So, in our time, it would be the first one, for the way by Marco.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, we're starting to see Heineman. I mean, he's nowhere near where he was at the beginning before he missed all those games from the injury. But I think he brings a physicality to the game. He's got the speed to keep up with a new hook as well. Yesterday alone, I think he had 4 or 5 hits in that game. He's starting to come around, right, as the rust is sort of coming off. And we haven't seen his shot. I believe he has 10 goals on the season, but he hasn't scored in quite a while. I think that'll come.
Saying he's back from his
But
injury.
yeah, exactly.
Even though,
So
yeah, it's like
uh,
20 something.
it'll take time. Like I have confidence because he's got a great shot. Like when he gets it off, it's accurate. It's hard. His wrist shot is very good as well. Um, I have no doubts, and I think Newhook really draws a lot of defense because of his speed and he's also a good playmaker. I just wish his accuracy was a little bit better. He's really been snake bitten lately. And then depends who you put on the other side with them, right? It would have to be a piece that really complements them. I think they're both Newhook and Heineman are both responsible, defensively responsible as well. So you're not losing out anything in that equation. So I would say it's definitely the origins of a good third line.
I think what's interesting to me about this whole thing is, I think St. Louis, he loved that fourth line so much, that he didn't want to move off it and separate Armia and Evans and Heineman for so long. And with good reason, right? Like there's that stretch right after the holidays where they went really hot on the road. You could say like that was Montreal's best line. Like they were just pumping teams, right? They were
Yeah,
all over the place, right? So you can
they had the
understand why
best
St. Louis
line.
was really patient. Yeah, they were the best line. And, so you can understand why St. Louis did not want to meddle with that for a long time. But I think with Armia being injured and, just that line not giving you very much, it was a great opportunity for him to try this. And with Heineman just being really cold since he came back from getting hit by a car. Let's not forget he got hit by a freaking car. Still can't believe that. Anyways, so since he came back, he hasn't really been the same. So um, to me, I think it was perfect timing to get him up there. Coach, earlier you were saying how Roy just wasn't a fit with Newhook and with Line because he's not able to get there. He's just not fast enough to kind of have the impact that they need. To me, this is like a really good instinct by St. Louis to put Heineman with these guys. I think the chemistry, the potential chemistry of that line, you have all the elements, right? Like you have speed, you have a guy that can go in on the forecheck, separate from the puck, and shoot. You have a guy that's really fast. He has okay vision, New Hook. Like he's not an amazing playmaker, but he can carry the puck, and he's very good at carrying the puck in. And then you have Line who can snipe, and he has underrated playmaking skills to Patrick Line, right? So I think you have a lot of good things happening there. Whether it's something that you would do long term as a third line, you guys know that I was really on the side of the fence where I didn't think Newhook could play center because of his faceoffs. But if I'm not mistaken, his faceoffs has gotten a little bit better in the last like 5 games. There was one game where he was like almost at
80.
75%,
Yeah,
80%.
80,
Like,
333. You're right about that. He
yeah,
has an average of
It was
42.5. It's not
yeah.
big, but it's an
horrible.
improvement
Yeah.
about that. Only thing for
But
me,
I'm
I like
curious.
him. I said that Marco said at the beginning. He can use his speed and
Yeah, for sure.
send the formation. I could be wrong. New Hook, he lead the NHL with the most chance for an on the net after
Great
an
point.
entry zone
Entry zones,
of
yeah.
5 versus 5.
Even more than McDavid. Even
Yeah,
more than McDavid, right? Yeah, I saw that too.
yeah,
So I would be curious to see what his faceoffs are because maybe we're just seeing his numbers for the whole year, but I'd be curious to see what his faceoff percentage is since he's been at center full time, like since Doc got hurt or whatever, right?
yeah.
To me, that's the biggest thing because if they're not going to sign Dvorak, then you absolutely need a left-hand setter that can win faceoffs, right? So and we don't know what's going to happen with the second line center.
His
So
his
if
plus
you're going to have
minus
New
is
Hook
a bit
there,
of a concern as well, Marco. Like I
I
think overall he's at a -20. That's for a centerman.
yeah, but
That's a serious number to work on.
uh, to me, like that's not just because he's playing center. It has nothing with the fact that he was playing center. It's that Montreal was terrible in October and November, and he was on. Like, don't forget, he didn't get a regular. He didn't get a point for like almost like the first 20 games or something, right? So he was on
Yeah,
like that line was terrible. So I don't think it's really about him as a player. I think it's just more the team overall, how they were playing, the players that he was playing with. I think overall, Martin St. Louis talked about this, is the biggest turning point for Newhook this year. He calls him like I think Devin said this on the show too. He's kind of like the Caulfield of last year, right? Like he started. St. Louis talked about having him use his speed not just to not just for offensive situations, but to use his speed in defensive situations. And you see him doing that, coming back for the puck, pressuring the puck on both sides, right? On the defensive side and on the offensive side. So I'm convinced as long as he can be like a 50% face off guy, I'd be okay with that, rolling with that next year. But if he can't do that, then there's going to be a huge problem because those defensive draws guys, like he needs to win them, or else Montreal is gonna
yeah, you have to win.
it's going to be a huge problem for them in the defensive zone, end of games, like penalty kill, all those things. So that's my only thing. And Heineman, I don't know, third line, like he's shown the potential, right? But he needs to kind of get back there because it's not like he went over a while in the I guess in the kind of like depth chart
Depth.
for Montreal.
Yeah,
But if he's not
yeah,
careful, there's going to be other guys passing him in the depth chart. Like you have Jack Eye that's just killing it in Laval right now. I don't know if he's going to make the team next year, but he's going to have guys with competition that are going to be clipping at his heels too, for sure.
Here we go,
and that's
guys.
good. Good news.
Go ahead and out up. You want to add something?
No, no, I'm just saying that's great. That's great news to have that level of competition. It really pushes the players, right?
And we're going to, before we do that class, we're going to talk about the race NHL. Nobody want to win, Mr. Nartap. Honestly, they just said, we're going to give this to someone else, everything like that. And I want to give you guys the schedule, if you don't mind. First of all, the standing right now. The Montreal Canadiens are set before the game tonight, 37 point, equal to the Rangers, but they have one game less of the New York Rangers. Jacket are 2 points behind, but they have one game behind the Montreal Canadiens and hence. So if they win, they join now 3 team tie. And then you have the Detroit at 3 points behind them. And then you have the New York Canadiens with 3 points. So what I did, guys, I went to the schedule here on the Montreal Canadiens. And you can see this week they play 4 games if you include Sunday. For the Panthers, Boston, Flyers, Nashville. Only one team in the playoff. Detroit, Ottawa number 2, Toronto number 3, and the Canada Hurricane number 4. So this is a very good schedule if you consider 9 games remaining, 5 teams out of the playoff, and 4 teams in the playoff. And of course, for the Montreal Canadiens, they play 6 games at home versus 3 only on the road, but they still have 2 more back-to-back games. There will be a huge weekend on the road, Friday and Saturday, and Ottawa and Toronto. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give you a little bit. Remember what I just said for Montreal again, but look, the New York Rangers. The Rangers played a Wild, the New Jersey, the Tampa Bay Lightning, 3 teams on the playoff. Then they got the Flyers and the Islanders back-to-back, the Canada Hurricane, the Tampa Bay, and the Panthers.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
far, I
the
would take the
Rangers.
Rangers. I would take the Rangers schedule over Montreal's schedule so far.
Why?
No, no, no. If you
I
look
don't
at
like.
their strength of schedule, Marco,
No, I
Rangers have the
understand.
second
No, I
toughest
get. I get.
record.
I get it. They go based on winning percentage, all that. But Minnesota won like 80% of their games at the beginning of the year. Right now, they're reeling. They're not the same team at all. Philadelphia is a
They're
little
not
bit more on
healthy.
the upswing. New Jersey. So those 2 first games, I think Rangers definitely have a good shot at winning those. It's going to be obviously tougher against Tampa, but Philly and Islanders, I see they have a shot to win. So to me, if it's not equal, like it's not a huge advantage for Montreal. I think the schedule here. I wouldn't say so.
Um,
But
the
the
good
thing
news
I like
about this,
about
Marco, they played the New York Islanders, and that game could eliminate, honestly, the New York
one
Islanders on that
one
one
of
over
them.
there. But we're going to see. Islanders now. They played Tampa Bay and the Minnesota Wild, the Washington, the Nashville, the Rangers, the Flyers, the New Jersey, the Washington, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, they play the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is where this could be a hurt one of the two teams for that. But they play two more games again, and also the game for the
Fourth.
Rangers, by the way, before that. That's very important for the Islanders. And they have two games again, the New York and the Washington Capitals. So not easy overall, but they still have, the Nashville, the Flyers, and the New Jersey Devils for the New York Islanders. And the New York Islanders lost the last three games. So for me, really difficult for the Islanders to make the playoff for me.
What about the Jackets? They're the team I'm the most worried about. Is still the two teams I'm
They have a
most
tough
worried about
schedule
are
too.
Columbus and the Rangers are the two teams I'm the most worried about for Montreal.
Oh,
Jacket, Nashville, Colorado, Toronto, Ottawa, Buffalo, Washington, the Flyers, and the New York Islanders.
that's tough. That's
That's
a tough
tougher.
schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the toughest out of the ones that we've seen.
Yes, I agree with you about that. And they have to play the Ottawa two time and then the New York Islanders, another team. So Islanders,
No
guys,
back
will
to
be
back.
interesting.
No back to back though.
One.
That's one advantage.
Just one, I think.
Yeah.
The fifth
They have
and
two
sixth.
back to back.
Oh, actually, yeah, 12th and 13th
Oh
as
yeah.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toronto, Ottawa, and then Washington, by the way. This will be hard.
A home and home.
The
Home
only
and
good
home,
thing,
yeah.
the only good news for them, Washington will be already in the playoff, and they could have some kind of slow game for them. But we'll see. Finally, the Detroit guys, they play St. Louis, Carolina, Florida Panthers, Montreal, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay, Dallas, New Jersey, and Toronto. Guys, two
Jeez.
game. Listen, Carolina, Florida 2, Florida, Tampa 4, the Dallas 5, and Toronto 6. And they have two back-to-back games also. Yes. And they play only the Montreal Canadiens and the Rays for the Detroit Red Wings. Another difficult schedule for the Detroit Red Wings. You look overall, I believe for me, Montreal have the best schedule on the
They do.
versus other team. But that's not guaranteed they're going to win and make the playoff, but they feel better. By the way, guys, they have 3 minutes and 36 seconds start in the game between Kraken and the Star. It's already have 3
2-1.
goals in the net.
Is who's in net for Dallas? It's not Ottinger tonight, is it?
I don't know. I did not look.
I know where that's coming from, Marco.
But that's happening, guys, for the schedule for the Montreal Canadiens. So it'll be interesting what happening. Of course,
Yeah,
9 game. At the end of the day, they have to win the 9 games on the top. That's not change anything at the end. Time to go to the clash.
No.
Here we go. The way like everybody like the clash. Let's starting with all the questions. They are already there, so I'm going to lead them. I apologize for that. I did it at the last second. Win our last playoff spot, less or 90 point, Marco. Absolutely or not at all?
No, I'm going to say I think they'll be right at 90, maybe 89, but I think they'll get to 90 for the last spot.
13 point missing right now, Mr. Natap. 13 point to get that. So
Yeah.
you have to win 6 games.
Yeah, I think somebody will get there.
I don't personally. I don't think so. I think 88 might just do it for somebody. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the games are the teams that are involved are against each other, right? So unless they take it to the proverbial 3-point games, I don't see them really reaching 90 points. I thought initially it would take about 91, 92 points to get in, but the way it's shaping up, it doesn't look good. It looks like it'll be around 88.
I go absolutely. I think they're not going to reach the 90 point. If you look about Marco and Artap, if you look about all the things we talk, for the last 13 game average, maybe 112, maybe 114. Islanders, Rangers, Detroit, Columbus, Montreal. What is the highest number to win they get in the last 13
We've
games?
had teams But we've had teams go on like in the last 20 games, you have Montreal, you have Detroit, and you have Ottawa. Like you have teams that have went on runs. So I think there's going to be one team that goes on a bit of a run. That's kind of
Yeah,
what
but
I think is going to happen.
I think what coach is saying is in those last 10 games, I think the highest
Yeah.
is maybe 4 or 5 wins.
13 and the last 13 game average is 4-3 game winning.
Yeah.
All the 5 teams I just mentioned to you guys. So nobody wants to take that lead to get there, but we'll see happening. Hutson get vote for the Norris Trophy.
I think he'll get some votes. I don't think he'll be in the top 3 for that, but I think he'll get some subsidiary votes. I don't see
top
why not.
5.
No.
Marco? Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
And he get vote, Marco?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
You'll get votes. You'll get votes as the 4th.
Okay, but not okay. When you say but you mean he'll get a vote like for number 3 or whatever? Like
you get vote.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. He'll get a couple of votes, like for somewhere, but like not for nobody's gonna vote for him as to win the Norris. I don't think.
I go with A2. He said top 10. I think it was going to be top 10.
Yeah, top 10 is reasonable.
Yep. Marco, Hutson could get 90 points in the NHL one day. Who hold the most points as a defenseman in the Montreal Canadiens? Marco?
Montreal Canadiens?
Larry Robinson, right?
I don't know. Like
how many points?
I think he 90. Had. Yeah, I think it is. I think it was.
How many?
I think it was just around 90, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're right, and after is Larry Robinson with 85 points.
85, okay.
Yeah. So I think
to answer your question, I'm going to say so since you say could, I'm going to say absolutely he could
get 90 points in the NHL at any moment in his career.
Yeah. So because of how you phrased it, he could. So I can't disagree with that. I'm glad you're not asking me if he will for sure, because a lot of things would need to go right. But I think it's possible, right? Like if Montreal kind of really gets to where they want to go and have a really strong top 6 and their power play's cooking and everything else, like I think you'd have the opportunity to be somewhere around there one day.
And after.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he has the potential. I think as the team continues to improve, and they definitely will, and some of the prospects come up and hopefully reach their ceiling, it's going to make it that much more easier for Hutson to achieve that goal.
All right, Mr. Montreal Canadiens are going to sweep the Panthers.
As I said earlier, thanks to Mr. McCullough, I think absolutely. I think if Montreal needed some bulletin board material, they got it after that game. I'm not suggesting that they're going to be, fighting them or anything like that. Unless the game is lopsided either way. But I think it sort of gave them that energy, and now returning home in the Bell Center, I think that they realize that this is something within their grasp. So I'll say absolutely, they'll sweep them.
Unfortunately, not at all, guys. Like long road trip, lots of we know what those are like. Unfortunately, and so to me, you combine two things, right? Like Florida, they're not going to want to get swept by Montreal this season. Like they're going to come out really hard, and then on top of that, they're coming back from the long road trip. So I wouldn't.
And they want to get the home advantage also, Marco. With
for sure, they're in the race with the Leafs for number 1.
They might also be looking ahead because the next game right after that is against Toronto, and that's the one they really want. But they, in all fairness, they have not been playing well in the last 5 or 6 games for sure. And I think sometimes some teams match up really well with others. The fact that this is yet another Atlantic team. Montreal has boded well so far against Atlantic teams. So yeah,
I hope
absolutely.
so. I hope so, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Marco,
I already
Montreal
said
Canadiens
yeah.
get
Oh,
6 wins in the next 9 games.
6 out of 9. Shit, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Not at all. I don't think they get there. Like I think guys, like I think I last time I was on here, I said that they're gonna just fall a bit short. So I'm sticking to my original. Like I hope I'm wrong. Like I'm 100% on board with everybody. Like I'm there every day cheering for it. But I don't know if they're gonna have enough to get there. So I think they're gonna fall a bit short here. So because I think for sure if they win 6 out of the next 9, then I don't see how you don't get in with that kind of record. But I think it's going to be more, maybe like 3 out of 4 of 9 that they win going down the stretch here.
And our tap, don't listen to Luciano.
I don't know. What did Luciano say?
Not at all.
Because whatever he says,
Not
he
at
said not at all.
all.
So then I'm going to say absolutely. Well, it will be tough, but the good news, like we said earlier, it's one of the easier schedules that they have ahead of them. 5 of the 9 teams are Atlantic Division teams. I know maybe I shouldn't be putting that much stock behind it, but you know what?
Okay.
It's worked for them this year. So can they hit 6? Yeah, I think they can. Will they? Personally, I think
Not
they'll
at
hit
all.
5. I think they'll hit 5.
Just, you don't want to say it, man. You have to say not at all. You have
5.
to come off as negative. That's what he wants. That's what
Not
Coach
at
wants.
all. Not at
He
all.
wants us to be negative.
All
He
right.
wants us to get hate mail.
That would be
Does
close.
Coach
I
say
said
it?
5-3-1. But
That's what I
the
say.
problem with 6 win, Marco, is they play Florida, Toronto, Carolina. I missed one under a good team. So they have 4
Ottawa.
Ottawa. But
Yeah.
it's
That's it.
possible. 5-3-1 is maybe not good enough, but at the end of the day, Marco, in our tap, everybody lose. So maybe a 4-win, a 5-win, you can make it.
That's absolutely right.
Coach, you also have to say not at all. You have to say it.
But I simply said, I would said absolutely, Marco.
So absolutely, they will win 6 games?
Yeah. Not tomorrow. Finally, Mr. Nartap, Montreal Canadiens get 5 points a plus next week.
Who's on the slate again?
That's funny because that question was not there, but I would fix it again. So they play Flowers. I'm sorry, Florida,
Panthers.
Florida,
Boston, Flowers, Nashville, back to back. Possible 8 points. So I said Ab get 5 points and or a plus. Minimum 5.
Absolutely. How's that, Marco?
I agree. I think if they don't get 5 out of 8, 5 out of the 8 points this week, guys, then I think that they're going to be in real trouble. So it's right there for them this week. You got to get at least 5 points this week. So I'm going to say absolutely.
Absolutely about that, guys. Look, I said they're going to win 6 wins. Yeah, already 4 this week, Mr. Nartap.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
So that give you an idea what happening about that for the Montreal Canadiens. And like we do at the end of the show, what we do, we just did exactly what we just did, the clash. We talk about the prediction of the weeks on the Montreal Canadiens. Guys, I have more stuff. We're going to talk more next week about that. I want to talk about Montreal Canadiens prospect, but next week when we're going to see all of you. I want to talk about the most development players and the players I'm really, 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 really happy about, and I think is going to make a big trend for the future on the Montreal Canadiens. So you have this, Mr. Nartap and Marco on that one. And do you know, Mr. Marco and after what happened last week? How many points we got?
Last
Two.
week,
I think
three,
there were
two. Yeah,
Two.
3 or 4 games. I thought
two.
And the
2 points.
only
Yeah,
winner
yeah.
is Nicolas de Gobi Bono.
Nicola.
Nicolas win it. So Nicolas, you're going to tell us how many points you're going to make this week about that. I'm going to start with Marco Larabi on that one with the most point next week. 876543210.
I'm gonna say 5 points right on the nose there. Yeah,
5 point. Who are they going to lose?
I think they're gonna lose against Florida, and I think they're gonna lose against Philadelphia again.
I know.
But in overtime, one of those in overtime. Yeah.
Okay. So now that
6. I'm going with 6. A solid 6.
now I said 8 at the clash, but I'm going to be a little bit more smarter and for my prediction. So I'm going with 7 on that one. This is the highest point I gave the Montreal Canadiens this season. I never did that. But I feel like Montreal is going to get 1 point against Florida Panthers. They're going to lose on a shootout tomorrow. And then they're going to destroy the Flyers guys 5-2. And then they're going to play Boston before that. So they're going to beat Boston guys only 4-3. And then going to beat the Flyers 5-2. And then in Nashville, it'll be only 3-2. They will be back to back. And if you are both of you at the same time, I take a note. Who's going to start Tobash? Which game is going to start Tobash, Mr. Marco?
The back-to-back.
Which one is back to back?
Next
I
weekend,
think it's
Flyers
Philly,
and
Philly and Nashville.
They'll play them on the road
Nashville.
for sure. So I'll say Nashville.
in Artap.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be on the back-to-back. I think we're going to see three Monty starts.
A good question, guys. Do you think Monty gets to how many starts does he have now?
50.
52,
I think
53?
50. No, 55. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's 55. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he
he'll
gets
hit
to
60.
he'll be over 60.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's fatigue for a guy that hasn't played that many in the past.
Unless Fowler signs and he plays at home against Philadelphia. Boom. Fowler.
Would you gamble that though, Marco, in a race?
Here
I
we
don't
go.
know. I don't know.
Let's conclude, guys, about that
Gamble.
the prediction of that one, guys. We're going to talk next week, guys, about Florent Jekai next week. And the Laval Rocket lost the last game, but they are definitely now they're on the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to watching the Rocket and the playoff. It will be fun to have the Montreal in the playoff and the Laval Rocket and the playoff also. Before we leave, we're going to finish the show that way. I would like to hear from both of you guys. Montebo is at 55, so thanks so much, Mr. Luc Laforcine, about that. Marco, what are you looking for this week? What you are looking for the Montreal Canadiens overall? What's coming from them?
Yeah, well, I think the recipe for the last game, Coach, was obviously seeing the power play kind of get back to where it was before. So I think that's going to be the key here is continue to play good 5-on-5, like just like Sandy talks about all the time. Don't feed the other team's offense, and can the power play stay hot? And then I think Montreal will be okay and get decent goaltending as usual. So key thing, power play is what I'll be looking at.
I think that consistency, number one, has to be there, but there has to be a sense of urgency now. You know you're down to the last 9 games of the season. You want to make sure that if you're going to make the playoffs, you're going to go in on that high. The last 10 games are always the most important going into the playoffs. So I want to see that energy, that persistence, consistency coming out of them. And hopefully the goaltending will steal us 1 or 2 games. To
finish the show that way, Mr. Nartap, How many games Albert Jekai played this week on the 4 game?
3.
Marco?
0.
Wow. Big mistake if they do that.
If you have a winning lineup, Intertap, why would you break up a winning lineup? We'll see.
I go with 1.
Yeah.
But the only reason we grow, we get better every night at the Hockey Nation at Nation because all of you bring some great comments and knowledge. Not only the co-hosts, but also the people in the chat. But all of them are.
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
That's all for another app and podcast show. We're going to be back tomorrow night for the Montreal Canadiens versus the Florida Panthers. Wednesday, we're going to follow another team on the playoff. Thursday, Montreal, Boston. Friday, we're going to look about another team in the playoff or the Laval Rocket. Saturday, the Flyers. And Sunday, the Nashville. Another busy week at the Habs Nation. This is the place to be. Before we leave, of course, be well, BL. Find a way not only to dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the first half of what, Mr. Marco?
Your 2025.
You did it again. Merci beaucoup, Marco, and merci beaucoup, and after we wish you both of you an amazing, great night. I can't wait to see you next week.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Have a
Hockey
good
Nation. Good night.
That's all. This is another Ab National show. We want to thank all the moderators in the chat. Also, Calabro at the news and update, and other people click on the likes, and we appreciate all of you. Without you, it would be impossible. The Hockey Nation should Ab Nation want to tell you one things. We love you, friends. Have a great night. April 1st tomorrow. I just said that. April 1st. By the way, in the next 16 days, this is a Songkran, the water guns on the water, shooting people. I can't wait to do that. Thanks so much, Mike Elliott, LDP, Shelton, Nicolas de Gobi Bono, and NRTAP, R20 and 26. Al for Edmonton is in the house, guys. Sometimes we have disagree, we have agree. The beauty of this, guys, every time I said this all the time, is we do this with respect. Yeah, nothing against anybody here. We love all of you, and we appreciate. We're really, really, really grateful and thankful to have all of you here every single night. You know who you are, and we don't give you enough credit because I know what I can do. I know what I do here, but without you, it would be impossible. So I just want to sharing with you my thought about all of you. Thanks so much. A great night. And I can wait to see you to Montreal tomorrow again, the Florida Panthers. Have an amazing, great week also. The beginning of April, I smell the playoff in Montreal. With the spring, la cabane à sucre, les sucres, the miel. What can you ask for more? Nothing else. The only thing we want to see you again tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody. And of course, and booyah! Good night, Nicolas and Alger Calabro.